Hello world, we are back, and this is Mike Diamond, and this is the Diamond Mind Life Mastery. And today we are continuing with our studies on how to become the best version of ourselves. Today we have a very, very exciting topic, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a deeper look into why we are in our current situations in life. So let's get right into it. Alright, in previous sessions, we have established that our thoughts create our states and conditions in life. So, where do these thoughts come from? Where do these beliefs originate? Let's take a deeper look at what takes place in the cycle of life. Now, when we begin to explore beliefs, or where our beliefs originally came from, we must first look at where the beliefs are stored and how we need to, or how we can undo or get rid of unproductive beliefs. So, let's take a look. Now, most people would never realize this fact, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The majority of who you are as a person, and the majority of all of the things that you have experienced in your life, have been established before you have reached the age of 7. We basically manifest or live a life that is based on our dominant thoughts. Our dominant thoughts in turn determine the actions that we take. The actions that we take then determine the outcome that we experience. That outcome is what we call life. So, in order to change things around, in order to get down to the bottom of this, we have to always start from where the problem originates. Ages 0 through 7 are crucial ages in the development of a human being. Why? The reason why is because these are the impressionable years that your subconscious mind learns its belief system. So, the majority of what we experience is a result of what has been placed in our subconscious compartment of our minds. Most of what's in our subconscious mind has been developed and put there in our early stages in life. How does this happen? To gain a better understanding of how this happens, we must first understand how the human mind and brain functions. There are 4 primary brainwave functionings that we as humans experience. The names of these functions are beta wave, alpha wave, theta wave, and delta wave. From ages 0 to 3, we are primarily functioning under the brainwave activity, which is called delta brainwaves. Delta brainwaves are a very slow brainwave activity, and this is characterized by lots and lots of sleep. That's why you notice when you look at a newborn baby, what do they do the majority of the time? They are in a sleep state. And the reason why they are in this sleep state is because they are primarily in the state of a delta brainwave. This allows for a baby to develop rapidly from a physical standpoint. Most of the times, your body has its growth during this stages of sleep. Also, this is the stage of sleep that repairs and heals your body. So anytime you have ailments, anytime you have sicknesses, or anytime you have things that need to be repaired in your body's functioning, it usually takes place during the delta functioning of your brain activity, which is a very, very deep and unconscious part of your sleep pattern. Now, during these ages of 0 to 3, the brainwave activity of the child is primarily in delta. So the child is basically able to absorb all of the information during this part of its brainwave activity, and it's like a sponge that just soaks up everything naturally that's around. Your next functioning of your brainwave moves into a state that is called the theta brainwave state. We experience a theta brainwave state twice every single day. As we enter into our sleep patterns, we descend from a beta state to an alpha state to a theta state down into a fully sleep and unconscious state, which is known as delta. And the theta state is a portion of your brain or a portion of your mind or subconscious mind that houses all of your beliefs and houses all of your memories. Any experience that you ever had in life is never forgotten or never lost. Every experience that you have had is stored in your subconscious mind, and it can also be accessed through the theta portion of your brainwave activity. This is also referred to as the state or brainwave state of hypnosis. So a lot of times when people undergo hypnotherapy, when they try to reverse or change certain conditions in their life, they have to come down to a brainwave state of theta, which basically is the state of hypnosis, in order to go into that part or portion of your mind or your subconscious mind in order to reprogram it. The theta state or the theta brainwave state is a state of mind that you are primarily in from ages 3 to 7 years old. And 95% of your beliefs are housed in the theta portion of your subconscious mind. That's why it's very, very important to be able to penetrate the theta portion of your subconscious mind whenever you want to really, really impact change in who you are and change in your programming, or when you want to change the programming of your beliefs. The majority of this programming has been a result of forces outside of yourself. These programmed thoughts have come from your experiences in your household, in your environment, in your community, by parents, friends, loved ones, teachers that have constantly reiterated certain things or ways of beliefs and implemented these beliefs into your life. So the majority of your thinking and who you have become as an adult are things that have been programmed into your subconscious or into your being as a child. This has taken place primarily in the ages of 3 to 7 years old during theta brainwave activity, which was your primary brainwave activity during those pivotal, impressionable years. Next is alpha brainwave activities. Alpha brainwave activities is your primary brainwave that is active during ages 7 through 14 years of life. Your alpha brainwave activities is a very creative part of your subconscious mind. It stands right at the edge of subconscious and conscious functioning. So this is the brainwave function that allows you to begin to enter into a state that you can creatively direct your life. This is a very, very fertile space when it comes down to being able to make changes. The next stage in our brain function activity is called beta waves or beta brain activity. Your beta brain activity is when we begin to enter a realm of full consciousness. Now, your primary state of brainwave activity in beta consciousness basically takes place when you enter puberty. When you get into the stage of life when you can reproduce, this usually is associated with the beta wave activity or beta brainwave activity becoming your main conscious functioning of your mind. Your beta brainwave activity is basically identified by the use of logic and reasoning. This is where you begin to say, all right, if I do this, then this should be the result based on what I have learned and based on the logical progression of how things should be. Now, as we begin to enter logic, sometimes that takes away from our ability as human beings to then say what can and cannot be accomplished. When you begin to rely on logic, then certain aspects of creativity that we relied on as a child begins to vanish into the background. Logic also puts limitations onto what we expect in life. So, what do we need to do in order to change this? We need to get back to our creative brain functioning. We need to get back to when we were more childlike, when we were able to envision things, when we were able to fantasize about what could be, instead of using our logical sense and saying what cannot be. Now, when we think about things on a logical sense of being, I just want to give you an example. If you were to flash back several years ago, okay, and when we had people, when we had scientists, when we had inventors trying to push the envelope, if we were to simply use logic, is it logic that we can have aircraft that weighs multiple tons fly across an ocean with 200 to 300, 400 passengers in a few hours to transport people from country to country or from continent to continent? Would that be a logical assessment in the 1800s? You think about that. Back then, was that logical? I don't think so. So sometimes we have to go beyond just our logical reasoning, which our beta wave functioning or the beta consciousness functioning of our mind usually utilizes. Sometimes we have to break out of that in order to really see or really enter into new uncharted territories. This is where innovation starts. Now, the best way to get back to our creative selves, or into becoming innovative, or into looking at change or experiencing change, we have to then go backwards. We need to get into a state or brainwave activity state of alpha. Alpha brainwave activity is the best state of mind to be in when it comes to manifesting or dreaming or planning the changes that we need to plan in order to move forward in life. What do we need to do to get into alpha brainwave activities? Alpha brainwave activities is a slower form of thinking. Usually when we're stressed out, we experience a lot of thoughts in rapid succession. Think about it when you're going through a crisis. Your thoughts are all over the place. You're thinking about this, you're thinking about that. How am I going to do this? Oh my God, who am I going to call? You basically have 1,000 thoughts a minute going on in your brain when you're going through a stressful situation. A lot of times when you're trying to think of something and all of the thoughts and pressures are on you in life, you cannot think of things properly because of all of the stress and all of the things and thoughts that are popping into your mind at one time. So a lot of times when you really need to recall something, the best way to do that is to take a second, step back, and relax. Slow down your thought patterns. Breathe. Take a second and say, you know what? Let me block everything that's going on out. Let me bring myself down to a level where I can think. When you do that, you are now entering into an alpha state, a slower brainwave pattern that basically consists of less thoughts firing off in your mind at one time. The best way to enter into an alpha state of mind, number one, is to simply close your eyes. Now, what we did in a previous lesson is we talked about all of the things that your mind has to process at one time. And you don't realize, but your mind processes everything that it sees around you, every thought, every vision, everything that you hear, every smell. Your mind processes all of these things simultaneously. What is one of the number one ways that things enter into your mind? Obviously, that's through your vision and through your sight. So by simply closing your eyes, you have automatically reduced the amount of input going into your brain by cutting all of the visual aspects out. This automatically lowers your brainwave activity and it begins to calm your mind. The second thing you need to do in order to enter into an alpha state of mind, which is a calming state of mind where you can basically think of new and creative things, is to monitor your breathing. You want to close your eyes and you want to begin to relax all of the muscles in your body, and you want to begin to breathe in a deliberate and rhythmic pattern. This increased oxygen will begin to also slow down your brainwave activity, where you will begin to have less thoughts going on at one time, and then you can start to think clearly. As you do this, after about 2 minutes, you will begin to calm down, your heart rate will begin to slow, and your body will enter into a state of relaxation where you could then enter a space of creativity. This is where we want to primarily be anytime we're entering a state of thinking about or creating things that you want to manifest or bring about in your life. The best place to go to do this would be a quiet place. You don't want to be like in a busy situation, like you're at work or you're traveling and there's a whole bunch of things going on. You usually want to go into a nice, quiet place where you can kind of like relax your body, stretch out, and get very comfortable and lower your brainwave activity. Alpha state. Alpha state is where you can then become creative. You can close your eyes and then you can then put yourself where you would like to be mentally. Anything that you're developing in your life, like I always say, this is one of the things I always say repeatedly, you always create 2 times. You always create twice. First mentally, then in a physical aspect or in a physical form. So anything that you're creating in your life, you want to first create in your mind. And the best way to create in your mind is to think in pictures. Your mind loves pictures. It loves to connect to things that it sees. Thinking in pictures is called visualizing. The thing about this is that your subconscious mind does not know the difference between what is really being experienced in life and basically what is being experienced in your mind. So the more and more you begin to experience things in the internal workings of your mind, your subconscious mind takes these as real experiences. So as you begin to think of these visions in your mind, and as you begin to attach the emotions of these experiences, your subconscious mind takes them and accepts them as truth. This is how change happens. Because the more and more evidence that your subconscious mind has of you experiencing these things and your emotional attachment to these things, then your subconscious mind then begins to look for more of the same. So the objective here is to move from your beta mindset or your beta wave experiences into an alpha experience or alpha wave experience, which then takes you from the logical into the creative. And as you maintain that creative state of mind, you then begin to bring forth or bring into your life those experiences that continue to match those states of mind. Why do we need to do this? What does being in your beta or conscious state of mind do? I'm going to put it in this way. Your beta state of mind brings things to your awareness. And what it usually tends to bring up is all of the things that are in your awareness that has been trained by your outside environment through your childhood. And in your childhood, you learned a lot of things, like it's not logical that you can make a lot of money in life. Only rich people have these opportunities. It's not logical for you to be well off. Rich people or money is the roots of all evil. These are some of the things that you heard as you grew up in life. So therefore, these are the things that are subconsciously lying in your subconscious mind. You don't realize it, but these thoughts that have been ingrained in who you are as a child are the things that are holding you back from your advancement. Things that you heard. You're not good enough. We can't possibly do that. All of these things that you have heard throughout life are limiting beliefs. I have a terminology that I refer to as RATS. And RATS is basically an acronym that stands for Reoccurring Afflictive Thoughts. Now, a reoccurring afflictive thoughts are thoughts that basically cause us to doubt ourselves. Now, as human beings, we have over 60,000 thoughts a day. And most of these thoughts are reoccurring thoughts. Thoughts that we think about over and over and over again. A lot of people tend to think about problems. A lot of people tend to think about things that are stressing them out. Things that they are worried about. How are they going to solve this and how are they going to solve that? And the majority of these thoughts you think about continuously over and over and over again. That's where you get the terminology reoccurring afflictive thoughts. I'm just going to label it a RAT. Now, if you think about your worries and problems and afflictive things and thoughts over and over and over again, little do you know, you are building up energy and you are blowing life into those thoughts. And in return, you will receive more of the same. So think about this. What do most people do when they have a rodent problem? Or they have a problem with these rats? This is what most people do. When there's a problem with rats, usually the solution is to go out and get a cat. I'm just giving you this in a term where you can understand. So to combat the rat, you get yourself a cat. What does CAT stand for? CAT stands for Counter Affirmative Thoughts. What are counter affirmative thoughts? Counter affirmative thoughts are thoughts that you think of to counter all of the negative thoughts that you had previously. When you counter a negative thought with an affirmative thought, or with affirmative meaning a positive thought, you then offset that negative thought. And this is what we need to train ourselves to do. We need to get ourselves to a point where we can basically say we have eliminated negative thoughts from entering into our realms. But sometimes negative thoughts will come up. Things happen in life that cause us to think negatively. Now, do we need to ponder on it? Do we need to dwell on it? Sometimes negative things happen. But what we need to do is we need to realize, listen, this is not conducive to me getting over this problem. This negative thought and me keeping myself in this space is only creating more of the same. So this is now thinking about it from a point of reversing the occurrence or reversing the circumstance or situation. You need to now utilize powerful thoughts that will then counter that negative or reoccurring afflictive thought. You counter these thoughts by immediately thinking of the very opposite and gaining a sense of empowerment by saying, I can turn this around. Yes, I experienced this flat tire, but let's give thanks and be grateful that we can quickly change the flat, put on a spare, and move on in life. Doesn't that feel much better? Doesn't that give you a reassurance that, wow, it's not as bad as I really thought it was? This is what I mean by countering negative things that come into your space and into your life by all means necessary. By replacing negative thoughts and occurrences with positive messages. Countering it with affirmative thoughts that will then empower you to move on. This is our power. We have to utilize our power to reverse, to about face when we are faced with negative things in life. Negative grows. Negative expands. We have a balloon called life. We have things that happen in life. We can either take a negative situation, think about it as a balloon. We can blow it up as big as we want. But if you blow on a negative balloon, eventually what's going to happen in your life? That balloon is going to pop. And when that balloon pops in our life, it's like a complete breakdown. So do you want to continuously blow into the negative balloon of life? Or do you want to deflate that balloon where we completely take that out of the equation and begin to just look at the positive aspects and what it is that we want instead? It feels much better. The single most important part of navigating your life is being able to utilize your mindset and direct your thoughts. And you want to direct your thoughts from a creative standpoint. This is why it's important to understand how to enter into that creative realm. How to get into an alpha mind state where we then let go of the logical, rational ways of thinking about things. And that way, when things happen that we are not fond of, we can think of creative and innovative ways to change those occurrences around. Relax. Close your eyes. Slow down your thought patterns. That way you can enter a realm of creativity in order to figure out how to solve these issues. Because you create your life from the dominant thoughts and from the mental aspect in which you approach life. To change the outcome that you're experiencing in life, the first thing you have to do is get rid of the rat. You have to get rid of the rat. You have to get rid of the reoccurring, afflicting thoughts that is holding you in a place that you really don't want to be in. You have to get yourself a cat. You have to get something that's going to run these circumstances off. Scare them off. Get rid of the rats by saying, you know what, I have a defense mechanism here. Set up and in place. So as soon as these negative circumstances try to creep themselves in my life, I can counter these thoughts and these situations with affirmative thoughts with positive thoughts that will empower me to know that change is on the way. We have to be able to change our brainwave activity. We have to come out of the realm of our logical beta thought patterns of 2 + 2 = 4. Since 4 means a miserable life, this is where I'm stuck at. We have to come out of that, people. We have to come out of this. We have to reach a state of subconscious alignment. Your subconscious is really the part of your mind or the part of yourself that makes the change. It's through detailed images that we consistently send down to our subconscious that creates the change that we want in life. These images have to be believable. And the way that these images become believable is when we combine these images or these visions or these visualizations with real emotions that signal to our subconscious mind that these experiences have already taken place. We need to enter into alpha brainwave patterns, a slower, relaxed state of mind, a calmed spirit, where we can then visualize what we want, who we see ourselves as. And when we conduct these visualizations, we are putting ourselves in an emotional state where we feel so strongly the emotional attachment to these pictures in our minds as if it had already taken place. This is how change happens. The best place in order to implement this change is in the alpha state of brainwave activity. It's as a meditative state. You have your eyes closed. You're very relaxed. You're focused on the outcome of what you want. And you're holding yourself in an emotional alignment of what you want. You are no longer stressed. You feel good because you're in the place where you would like to be already. Now, how powerful is this? When we then go deeper and our brainwave activities lower even more. Remember I spoke about a brainwave pattern which is called theta. The theta mode is the portal in which we then begin to go through where we reach infinite intelligence. As we begin go to sleep consciously, or when our conscious mind goes to sleep, infinite intelligence wakes up. So, we must impress upon our theta portion of our subconscious mind the things that we really and truly want, and what we truly really want to experience in this lifetime. And as we do this continuously over and over, we begin to suppress, or we begin to evict out of that space the things that we have been programmed from birth as a child in those years that we spent in theta mode, where all of this input was getting downloaded into our mainframe or operating system, which is called our subconscious. We must reprogram the computer. We need an upgrade. We need to go into our operating system and delete the old files that's stuck down in our theta subconscious being. And the way that we go and enter into the theta or memory base of our computer is through the alpha. I don't know if you know a lot about computing systems, but a lot of times when we need to go into a computer's not operating correctly. They have a function when you're programming a computer called safe mode, where basically you can go into safe mode when your computer doesn't boot up and when it's not operating correctly. As a computer technician, you will go into safe mode in order to change things around in the programming of that computer and make it function properly. Your alpha brainwave activity is kind of like going into safe mode of a computer operating system, where you can go in there and you can delete old files or delete corrupted files, because that's all it is. As human beings, we are computers. And the only thing is, or the unfortunate thing, is that depending on how you were programmed, which basically took place in your first 7 years of life, we may or may not have to go into that operating system and delete old corrupted files in order to upgrade to the new you. It's time to upgrade your operating system. Delete the old files that are stuck down in your subconscious mind. Delete these old files by being able to understand how to get into a state of mind that you can creatively input new information. And the way that you creatively input this new information is getting into a meditative state, which is in the alpha brainwave activity state, where your brain becomes relaxed, your body becomes relaxed, and your mind becomes relaxed. And you can then begin to see or enter the new program. You're keying it in, you're typing it in, you're downloading new files. So now what you do, you download a program, and what do you do next? You press install. Oh, I got a corrupt file. Let me delete this and get rid of this old information that's holding me back. This is how it works. But you need to know how to delete old information, download and install new information. I'm teaching you how to become a computer programmer, because that's all we are. Operating system with corrupt information, or great programs that function wonderfully. Which one do you want to be? So let's learn and implement and use these 4 functions of our brainwave activity. beta waves. Beta functioning. Conscious functioning. When we are conscious, we are going to be conscious of what it is that we're thinking. We're going to look at our reoccurring, afflicting thoughts. And when things logically or consciously come into our mind that is in contradiction to what we really want, we are then going to call out the cat. Get the rat. We're going to call out the cat. And the cat is our counter, affirmative thoughts, where we're going to turn all negativity around and say, no, I choose to think about this instead. From the beta consciousness, we're going to go into a meditative state, which is called our alpha consciousness or alpha brainwave state, where we learn to meditate, we learn to breathe, we learn to close our eyes and lock out all of the outside influences, and then turn to our internal self in order to see who we really want to be. And as we continue to do that, these thoughts will eventually, as we pass through theta, which is our deeper mind, will begin to download into the place where our subconscious beliefs live. And eventually, the old corrupted files will get deleted and our new beliefs will be established. And once those beliefs are established, you begin to start doing things automatically. You start getting up early in the morning and going on that job because you're trying to stay fit. You will get your new invigorated energy to pursue your businesses or your dreams, relationship aspirations automatically. It won't feel like a burden because you have been reprogrammed to take on these tasks. You have a new program entered into your operating system. Let's utilize this. And in that way, we can reprogram our operating systems in order to give us what we want. This has been another episode of the Diamond Mind Life Mastery. And this is Mike Diamond, your host. And until next time, utilizing our brainwave functioning in order to reprogram our operating systems of life. Thank you so much.